Good morning, everyone. These are the announcements. We welcome all of you who are visitors. We're so happy you're here to enjoy fellowship, conversation, coffee, tea, and treats after the service. Blue mugs are available for newcomers and guests to use so the rest of us can warmly welcome you. For those of us who regularly attend Shalom, if you're extremely worried because you've been behaving badly that no one will talk with you, you can also use these as well. After our time with coffee and tea and treats, listen for a bell and join us in feedback in the fellowship hall to have lively conversation after the service. You're invited to the Tri-Cities Chaplaincy Lighting the Path breakfast on Wednesday, October the 4th, from 7:30 to 8:30 a.m. at the Three Rivers Convention Center in Kennewick. And this is the main fundraising event for the chaplaincy. This is a month earlier than in past years, and please contact me or Margaret Dunn if you would like to join our table. We are always looking for people who would like to do sound and video during the service, and due to schedules getting busier, we are needing more people to add to our team. This is an easier process than you think, and it's a vital part of each service. If you're interested in joining the team and would like to know more, please contact Laura Lee in the office. This is a great position for those who don't like the spotlight, but would still like to volunteer during worship. Tomorrow, September 25th, fourth Monday of the month, is Pub Theology Time. Our topic, surrender as spiritual practice. As always, we will bring a few questions to get us started, and all points of view are welcome. Come and join us. Grab a pizza or beer, only time we allow alcohol, and pizza if you like, and it's not at the church, it's round table. And sit down for some meaningful conversation with fellow congregants. 6:30 p.m. at the Round Table Pizza on GWA in Richland. If you would like to find out more information regarding upcoming Shalom events, or you would like to see what other congregants are sharing, take a look at the kiosk in the narthex. That's it. Please stand as you're able for the call to worship. As we begin this morning, we acknowledge that for thousands of years, First Nations people have walked on this land and are still here. Their relationship with the land is at the center of their lives and spirituality. And we acknowledge their stewardship of this land throughout the ages. Their deep connection to the Columbia River, the bountiful lands, and the surrounding ecosystems has left an indelible mark on the history and culture of this region. The legacy of these indigenous peoples includes not only their rich traditions and languages, but also their resilience in the face of challenges, including colonization, forced displacement, and the loss of ancestral homelands. Their strength and wisdom continue to shape the lands that we share. We commit to acknowledging the past, learning from indigenous histories, and respecting their rights and sovereignty. We express our gratitude for the privilege to live and work on this land, and recognize the shared responsibility we have as residents and guests to be responsible stewards. Together, we aim to create a community that values diversity, inclusion, and reconciliation.
Our first hymn this morning is number 459, Come, O Fount of Every Blessing. Please be seated.
As we come to this place of worship and gathering, we come with the many experiences that we've had in the week past, both joys and concerns, and this is our time to share what you would like to share with the community about the joys that you've experienced or the concerns that you have in this week ahead or this week past. One of our concerns is that this Sunday is in the United Church of Christ American Indian Ministry Sunday, and as a concern, we recognize that complicated history that this church, the United Church of Christ, as well as all persons, particularly of European descent, that complicated relationship with American Indians or Native Americans. And so we acknowledge that in our opening with a land acknowledgement, and I'll be sharing a little bit further about that when we come to the second theme of the day, which is our creation theme, the theme of rivers. So we're going to hear lots about flowing water today. The other joy I have is that of experiencing a wonderful retreat away last weekend with the Shalom retreat in Sidson. There were about just under 30 of us shared with the United Church of Christ in Pullman, Community Congregational United Church of Christ there. That church is also undergoing a search for a pastor. So one of the conversations we had, informal and some formal conversations, was what's it like to be a church in transition? Now, I believe all churches are in transition all the time, but Shalom and our friends at Pullman are experiencing a time of transition as each congregation seeks its next settled pastor. So it was a joy to experience time away and time together with folks from Shalom. I'm also grateful for the wonderful speakers that we had last Sunday, for Phyllis and her leadership, for Beverly and her leadership, and for the speaking of Judy and Anna and Jim and Michael. Michael, yes. Well done. Well done. Other joys or concerns that you'd like to share, simply raise your hand. Quinn will bring a microphone. He'll hold the microphone, but state your name and the joy or concern that you'd like to share with this community today.
Well, as we were singing, I looked at the page, the facing page, and it said, be not dismayed. And as a sort of, pessimist, I thought that this was very apt because you hear about Nikki a lot and all the bad news for her. Well, there's some organization in Spokane that every year they choose one person to support who needs financial support. And she was chosen. And they have a silent auction. They have a GoFundMe page. They even had something in karaoke in a couple of pubs. And those who wanted to be in line first had to pay. And unbelievable. And she had no idea that the organization existed. And she has no idea why she was selected. So I look at this particular hymn, and Reg, you should have chosen it, that do not be dismayed, because I do believe that in this case, God was there, and I'm not just joyful, I'm absolutely thrilled for her.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Lynn, and I'm back after a 6,000-mile Sprinter van trip camping with my husband. We saw 6 national parks, and we celebrated our 47th wedding anniversary at Old Faithful. That was quite a thrill. Saw it twice. And we spent 2 weeks with our son and daughter-in-law and their 2 kids traveling around Colorado, and it was a glorious trip, but it's really good to be home, so yeah, I'm glad to be here.
This is my wife. I'm going quickly.
Hello, I'm Renee Smith. I just want to say, continue prayers. My brother's significant other seems to have had a successful ankle replacement surgery last week. So just keep Michelle in your thoughts. Thank you.
Hi, I would like to welcome my colleague, Pastor Kirsten of Lord of Life Church, and I believe you're on sabbatical, is that right? Welcome.
Yes.
I just want to express my joy at seeing our acknowledgement today of the First Nations, of the people that we walk on their land. And that just brings an intense joy to my heart.
One more. On Friday night, I packed up my little cell phone and my purse, and Andy and I got in the car, and we drove to Yakima, and I went to this huge poets conference. And I read for my very first poetry slam, which was really intense because there's all these people staring at you, and they're all incredible writers. And I made it to the third round, and then I won third place. And it's not for the winning, but as a writer, maybe like a minister, sometimes you don't know how your writing resonates with people, and so to hear applause or to win something kind of gives you a measuring stick of whether those words stuck. And so that was really joyful for me.
Hi, I'm Judy. In response to a Facebook or Nextdoor or whatever post that was very concerned about people camping in Leslie Groves Park and scaring their kids or whatever, I did some analysis using the numbers that the state had collected about homeless in the Tri-Cities, and I discovered that while our numbers are not the same as those in Seattle, we have 5 times the rate of homelessness. And that if you extrapolate the numbers and figure that Richland has the same rate of homelessness as Pasco and Kennewick, that would mean that there are currently 1,000 people who are homeless in Richland. We have no shelter. We have very, very little in the way of affordable housing or housing that is subsidized by this, by vouchers or whatever. One such place is right behind us here, but there isn't very much that's out there that's affordable. Landlords are asking for 3 times the amount of rent as your income in order to accept you as a renter. Vacancy rates are so low that they can do that and have their places filled because the vacancy rate is very, very low. So anyway, I just want people to be aware of this problem and be thinking about asking our city leadership to address it.
Thank you.
I'm Mary Metcalf, and I just want to reinforce our thoughts and prayers for the First Peoples. I taught on the Quinault Reservation for 3 years, a long time ago, and I visited 2 years ago, and I was appalled at the lack of change.
Thank you for sharing. Let's take a moment of silence, and then together we will share our prayers of the people printed in the bulletin. Holy One, Creator God, God of many tribes and nations, by every name you are known, you bless the earth. By your spirit and imagination, light the path to right relationships. Break the stereotypes, banish inaction, and bring justice. End the long apartness that has wounded our souls. Help us to understand each other clearly and rejoice in one another's strength. Help us to listen to each other deeply and join in the friendship dance. Help us to guard each other's rights and walk long together in good company. Help us risk building honorable relationships and find your direction for us. Give us courage, creativity, and commitment for our journey to keep faith with each other and also with you. Holy One, Creator, God beyond tribes and nations, be with us all. Amen. Now it's time for children's chat. We encourage our young people to come forward. Hello, Mary. Hello. How are you today? I brought all of these pages, and you can take as many as you like, but at least one there is on this picture. Let's see. I'll show this up so folks can see it perhaps a little bit better. What is this a picture of?
A man playing whatever the instrument is called.
Yeah, it's an instrument. A man, looks like a beard and a hat, playing an instrument. And the word for that instrument is that big word there at the bottom of the page. You know? Shofar. Yeah, and that's what he's playing. It's a ram's horn. He's blowing into a ram's horn. It's called shofar. He's Jewish. And tonight begins one of the holiest events in Judaism. So this says at the bottom here, the last part of the Yom Kippur service is one long blast of the shofar. And so tonight at sundown in the Jewish community, which is the holiest day of the year for the Jewish community, it's called Yom Kippur. It follows Rosh Hashanah, which is the new year for Jewish people. The new year, what year is it now for us? You know what year it is? Yeah, 2023. The Jewish New Year this year, beginning with Rosh Hashanah, is 5,784. It's a little bit longer, isn't it, than us? Yeah. I think it's quite a bit more. That's right. And so tonight begins Yom Kippur, and that is a time for many in the Jewish community, but many to say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the mistakes I've made in the last year. It's a time called atonement, but a time to say I'm sorry. So many Jewish families and communities will gather before Yom Kippur begins tonight to prepare to fast. That is to stop eating for 25 hours. And so they will have a meal tonight, and then they will fast. Many will fast for 24 hours or 25 hours, and then the fast will be broken tomorrow night. And guess how they will break the fast? Guess what they will hear that will tell them it's time to eat? A clock? Well, that's a good suggestion. But here's another word. The shofar, yes. It's going to be blown at sundown tomorrow night, and that will be a time to break the fast and share a festive meal together.
What if somebody forgets to blow it?
Well, then they'll have to use their clock, won't they? That's right. That's right. So if you have a Jewish friend at school tomorrow, it's perfectly appropriate to say, have a meaningful Yom Kippur. And I thought you might like to see some Hebrew words. So on the back of this, I put some Hebrew text with a translation. Yeah, so these letters up here are Hebrew. We can't read those, but you go from right to left. So you read Hebrew right to left. And then here's what's underneath it, a transliteration, which is going from left to right, which means, please God, heal us, and then with renewal of the soul. And the Hebrew words are written out phonetically right here. Ana, El, na, re, fa, na, la, nu. Very good. And then the word, and then the phrase underneath that? Means with renewal of the soul. And how would you say that word? Yeah, very good. Refuat hanifesh. So there you go. You've got a coloring page and some words to speak in Hebrew. And what can you say to your Jewish friends tomorrow? Have a meaningful Yom Kippur. All right. Thank you for sharing. Bye-bye. And now we will share in our hymn 438, When Peace Like a River.
In body or spirit, I invite you to rise as we sing. Please be seated.
I am back. Today is my turn to give a stewardship moment for the Finance Committee. Throughout the year, you've heard the stewardship moments of the various committees and how their activities connect to Shalom's mission of living Christ's example of extravagant love. We do this through worship that does not require you to check your mind or your authentic self at the door. We support a robust music program that celebrates our senses. We provide meaningful community connections and learning across the ages, from the very young to the last years of life, enjoying and protecting each other from the fear and isolation at all the stages of our intertwined lives. We conscientiously maintain a facility that supports our congregational activities, the life celebrations of our members, and the compatible activities of other community organizations. We support a number of nonprofit organizations financially and through the efforts of our members. We ensure that the kids who participate in our programs can attend camp. We work to grow our community so that others can come to enjoy what strengthened our lives. All of this requires support, both financial and volunteer. The Finance Committee, composed of current and former finance chairs and elected committee members, sees to it that the offerings are securely and confidentially counted and deposited each Sunday. We also confer with the treasurer and the stewardship committee to provide help as needed. As we come out of COVID, we pushed ourselves to have a bold vision for what we want to be and accomplish. We knowingly took on an ambitious budget, but now we are facing a challenge of our program expenses growing more quickly than income. We are faced with potentially fully depleting our retained surplus from prior years without additional funding. Our retained surplus is basically our emergency savings for unforeseen major expenses, and depletion would definitely leave us vulnerable. As budgets are like ships, requiring a certain amount of lead time to change course, it is important to identify in October the source of about $20,000 of additional income in 2023. Please take a look at the Sharentella and weekly updates to follow our progress in this area, and for the link to the confidential 2023 supplemental pledge form if your budget allows and conscious leads you to fully fund Shalom's vision. For those who prefer hard copy, there are supplemental pledge forms on the greeter's desk. To the many who have already dug deeper since the problem was forecast at the June meeting, we thank you. In any case, your presence here is valued, and all contributions to our community life are appreciated, whether they are financial or volunteer. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Well done. We are surrounded by Earth's gifts of beauty, diversity, and power, and we are called to be stewards and caretakers of nature and the flowing rivers. Let us offer our gifts of money and skills and service to our ongoing work shared with the Creator.
Today's scripture is Psalm 104, verses 24 to 31 from the Message. And I am arbitrarily choosing the first question for feedback. And that is how the Message chose to include God's pet dragon, Leviathan, who likes to swim. Get ready. What a wildly wonderful word, God. You made it all with wisdom at your side, made earth overflow with your wonderful creations. Oh, look, the deep, wide sea, brimming with fish past counting, sardines and sharks and salmon. Ships plow those waters, and Leviathan, your pet dragon, romps in them. All the creatures look expectantly to you to give them their meals on time. You come, and they gather round. You open your hand, and they eat from it. If you turned your back, they'd die in a minute. Take back your spirit, and they die. Revert to original mud. Send out your spirit, and they spring to life. The whole countryside in bloom and blossom. The glory of God. Let it last forever. Let God enjoy all creation.
Thank you, Quinn. And yes, we'll talk about the Leviathan at feedback. This is the fourth Sunday of the seasons of creation. I've forgotten where we began. Forest, wilderness, land, river, water. Today's River Sunday. And we delve deeper into that sacred covenant between humanity and nature, and we consider the providential blessing of rivers. And so we have all these wonderful songs of rivers today. In fact, I totally forgot to pray the prayer of offering because I was so ready to hear this marvelous anthem today. And as far as I'm concerned, I could just sit down and we could sing that a couple more times because that was glorious. We're pondering the subject of rivers, and it seems appropriate that we begin with the river in our backyard, the Columbia River. The mighty river graced with elegance and beauty. It offers not only a parable for our time, but also a challenge to our spiritual calling. It calls upon us to recognize and honor the rights of nature and embody that connection that resonates so deeply with our existence. As many of us know, the Columbia River originates not in the United States, but in British Columbia, in Canada. And it charts its course through the state of Washington and then through the Tri-Cities, and then bordering the northern border of the state of Oregon. It makes its way to the Pacific, right? The Pacific Ocean. Its waters, carving their path through the earth's crust, represent a living, breathing entity that sustains ecosystems and economies and cultures along its path. And the Columbia River stands as an essential lifeline, a symbol of life, and a source of sustenance for human and natural communities. Now, who discovered the Columbia River? Thank you. It's a trick question, right? Of course, the Columbia River was not discovered by European explorers. They named the river, but they did not discover it. For thousands of years, indigenous peoples have lived in harmonious coexistence with the rivers, and the Columbia River in particular. They have revered the river, not just for its role as a source of sustenance, but as a spiritual entity. It's a sacred presence connecting them to the very essence of creation. That spiritual connection has allowed them to recognize and honor the rights of rivers. The right of a river to exist. The right of a river to flow. The right of a river to evolve. This week I was wondering how indigenous persons might have described the origins of the Columbia River. And this led me to a storyteller by the name of Marilyn James. Marilyn James is an elder of the Sinixt people or nation, the indigenous people who have lived for 10,000 years in or on and around the Columbia River in British Columbia, and now are primarily, as I understand it, in eastern Washington, north of here. And this elder, Marilyn James, says that through the years she's heard stories of the Columbia River through multiple tribal renditions. And so she's taken those stories and pulled them together with their roots in an ancient form and tells the story of its origin, that is, the origin of the Columbia River, using a being, not the Leviathan, which we'll talk about in feedback, but the beings of a coyote and rain. And before I tell the story, I've been going back and forth all week. Is it coyote or coyote? I grew up with Warner Brothers cartoon Wile E. Coyote, and so it kind of rhymes, so I'm going to use coyote, okay? Coyote. And she calls this story How the Columbia River Came to Be. The story's about a time long, long ago, so long that there was no Columbia River. In fact, there was hardly anything alive on the landscape. And Sinkalip, which means coyote, Sinkalip, coyote, was wandering around the land looking for something to eat. And as Coyote looked around, he saw in the distance a beautiful woman. Now, Coyote was a real scoundrel and a scamp when it came to women. He believed himself to be quite debonair, but actually he was rather unpleasant. His hair stood up on end, he drooled heavily, and he had an uncontrollable thumping of his hind leg. So, when Coyote saw the beautiful woman named Rain, it was hard to imagine that he could gain her affection. But for all his flaws, Coyote had a way about him. He began to sing a magical love song to Rain, and she fell deeply, head over heels, in love with the scruffy Coyote. And as he sang his love song, Coyote promised Rain a gift. And he asked for a gift in return. Knowing that she was in love with Coyote, Rain reached into her heart and she placed her very heart upon the land. And from Rain's heart flowed the headwaters of the Columbia River. Rain embraced Coyote as he continued to sing his love song. And together they traveled across the landscape and eventually found their way into the land of Rain's cousin called Ocean. Now, Ocean was as beautiful as Rain. And soon, Coyote was infatuated with Ocean. Again, not much of a catch himself with his unappealing persona of standing hair and thumping leg and excessive drool. Coyote loped between the two beautiful women, and he professed his love to each. I love you, Rain. Oh no, I love you, ocean. Oh, it is you I love, rain. No, ocean, it is you that I truly want to be with. Rain became incredibly angry with herself for having fallen in love and angry with Coyote for showing interest in ocean. And she told Coyote, you promised me that if I share my gift with you, and I've shared my very heart, you promised you would share your gift with me, and I hold you to that promise. Coyote told Rain, I love you, I really love you, and I will give you many gifts to prove my love. And Coyote began taking bits of himself and laying it upon the land next to the waters of the river. And each of these gifts from Coyote became intricately tied in relationship to the river. Kingfisher, osprey, eagle, bears, brown bear, grizzly bear, black bear, marten, beaver, frog, all species of flora and fauna, and all species of fish. And after that, Coyote reached into his own heart and set down a small piece of it on the land. And this piece of his heart became the Sinaixed people. The Sinaixed people who were given responsibility to live with Rain's heart, the source of the Columbia River, to show reverence to the land every single day, and to show respect and love to the river. And Coyote told Rain that each spring and each fall, his finest fish would make their way down the water path of her heart to the greater body of ocean. And as proof of his abiding love, each spring and fall, these best swimmers would make their way back to his heart, to her heart. This was the spring disbursement of fry, the baby salmon, and the great spring and fall runs of salmon. But in spite of all these gifts, Coyote said he was going to be with Ocean. But one day, he promised to return and to make everything right. And to this very day, the Sinaixed people wait for Coyote's return, caring for the land and the river, knowing that one day he will return to fulfill his promise and to make everything right. In Marilyn James's, the Sinaixed elder, Marilyn James, in her comments about this ancient story, she says, "To me, Coyote embodies the human condition, that we are capable of some miraculous behavior, but we can rarely get beyond ourselves to perform at anything other than our most mundane capacities. Like Coyote," she says, "we are fallible, frustrating, and endearing, all of which makes us human." You know, one of the reasons I wanted to share this story was, of course, because it's American Indian Ministry Sunday. And it's River Sunday. And our relationship with indigenous people, as well as our relationship with nature and the river in particular, are complicated. And today I don't particularly want to wade into the waters of controversy about dams in our region. But I think all of us would agree that human development has altered the natural courses of rivers, fragmented their habitats, and diminished their vitality. Pollution, industrial runoff, sedimentation have further tarnished the once pristine purity of these rivers, and human-induced alterations have led to a decline in the once abundant salmon runs. And this has impacted both the rivers, ecosystems, and the indigenous communities that rely on them. So this narrative of the Columbia River serves as a parable for the larger struggle to protect the rights of nature. It reminds us that we are entrusted with the stewardship of this land, and with that stewardship comes profound responsibility. We are called to be caretakers of our planet and guardians of the sacred. Therefore, let us carry the message of the Columbia River in our hearts and embrace the challenge to recognize the rights of rivers, the rights to exist and to flourish and to evolve. And may we also stand alongside indigenous communities and work toward a world where rivers and forests and all living beings are treated with the reverence they deserve. My prayer is that we may go forth from this place on this day with a renewed commitment to be champions of nature, and that we will work toward a world where humanity and nature coexist in harmony and mutual respect, honoring the sanctity of all life. For even as we do so, we honor the divine spark that resides in all creation, and we heed our sacred calling. Amen.
Our last hymn this morning is number 478, I've Got Peace Like a River. I would like to point out a little something. Notice that each of these lines repeats, that when the repeat goes back, it doesn't go to the next verse. Each line repeats. I invite you to rise and body your spirit as we sing. Just sing the words I sing, you'll be fine. Faith like an anchor in my soul.
We sang that song last weekend in Sidson. Jim and I led that. We were and we had a fire there on the lake of Lake Coeur d'Alene, and we were singing the song, and we realized we talk about what? Ocean, water, fountain. We don't talk about lakes. Where's the lake in the song? So we ended up creating a verse, Jim. I can't remember what it was. We've got love like a big lake or something. I don't know. Join us for coffee and fellowship and sweet treats. And then at the ringing of the bell, come and we'll at least talk for a minute or two about the Leviathan, but also the experiences of rivers in our lives and the meanings and maybe some of the meaningful stories that we've experienced perhaps growing up or later in our life around the flow of water and rivers. As part of God's handiwork, we are sent forth to work alongside all that God has created. Trees and rivers, mountains and valleys, scuttling creatures, soaring birds, and lively marine life, all are held within God's care. And may we grow in our love and appreciation for the fabulous variety around us. And may our awe and wonder draw us closer to the natural world, and through it, to the one who has created all things. Amen.